All right, so I feel guided to do the second part now for the Sabian symbols, the gene keys, and the archetypes. And before I go into that other transit that I was talking about, I wanted to speak a little bit more about the Sabians, because of course it's called the Sabian symbols, but what or who are the Sabians, right? So the Sabians are an ancient people of stargazers from Mesopotamia. And so what I've been receiving with all of these, this whole process was guided, like every minute of the day I was guided to certain charts, looking at gene keys, having these Sabian symbols appear in my life so vividly. And so what I'm receiving from this, channeled information is that these Sabian people are basically coming to us from like a pre-sin flood sort of Atlantean time. And the Sabian symbols, as they have been channeled by Elsie Wheeler, are really for the time that we live in right now. And from my humble Torah study and studies with the Kabbalah Center, I understand that it's the same with the Torah. It has been basically written for the time that we are in right now. We are the souls that are coming back from these ancient times and that are decoding again what's going on. And so when we bring everything together, also Kabbalah with the Sabian symbols, we get a whole new layer of information. And it's pretty amazing. So so the Sabians are this people of stargazers, the first astrologers, if you will. And the stars really encode all of this information. And the zodiac is really a holographic system that functions together with all these other holographic systems, and the I Ching, which is, the inspiration also for the gene keys. So when we bring everything together, we can build the ladder to go back to the one, to oneness, to unity consciousness. And so this really important transit last year, Black Moon Lilith in Cancer, with at the same time, whenever Lilith is hitting a sign, she's also hitting the opposite sign as well, which is Capricorn. So with everything that I've been experiencing, I was guided to look at Lilith in Cancer as she's in her element. Cancer being the, let's say, in the lower octaves of this interpretation, as Laura Walker would say, who's really like, she's the one who got me into the Sabian symbols. So let's give credit where credit is due. Laura Walker at the Oracle Report. You can check her out. I'm going to post the link as well. She's amazing. I've been following the Sabian symbols and her work mainly since 2015. But it's never been as drastic in terms of looking at the Sabian symbols for the new moon, for the eclipses, for the numerological dates as it has been last year. So with all that being said, when we look at this Lilith transit going into Cancer, activating Capricorn on the other end, you basically have Lilith expressing her archetypal Lilith in Cancer, and Lilith expressing the archetypal devil in Capricorn. And I've seen it with so many people as well who've been going through the same thing. But what also happened in this transit, and which was part of this channeled information that I was receiving, it's like, look at Hekate. I had no idea about Hekate. I haven't even been looking at asteroids at all before. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, you have to look at it. And so I found the number that Hekate, the asteroid, is symbolized with, which is 100. And so I put it into astro.com, and I was just seeing, okay, wow, she's conjunct the sun for this eclipse. And Hekate is really about witchcraft. She's sort of the Greek goddess of witchcraft, of magic. And in my personal story, she kind of became this like embodiment of the, the counterpart of the magician in the tarot. And so she really played an instrumental role in this transit, because Lilith coming into it, and then right away, like a few days later, 15 days later, having this like sun conjunct Hekate in Taurus, that is, a pretty important magic activation for the collective. And so I was just guided to these things and seeing them, and seeing how they were translated also into other people's lives, and understanding that this Lilith transit was just really something incredibly collective, like a collective purging of the negativity of the Lilith archetype, and ending with, we need to see this archetype within ourselves. We need to see the serpent within ourselves. We need to see the devil within ourselves, and stop projecting it into our environment. Stop projecting it onto other people. And I went through this like the hard way, because so much magical stuff was happening in my life, and magic not always just, like positive and unicorn and rainbow, although there was a rainbow as well. But it was incredibly intense. And this lesson, that this initiation that I went through, was all about the unification of these different archetypes. So seeing these influences, understanding that we are but vessels that are made of a synergy of archetypal forces, archetypal influences that will be activated at certain times, that will bring up lessons that we need to go through at certain times. and just really being able to then take responsibility for these archetypal forces and for the actual magic that is happening and the potential chaos that is happening. And this transit, Lilith, Cancer, Capricorn, according to Laura Walker and all her research she's done on the Black Moon transits in general, you're going through a period of darkness, and it gets darker and darker and darker until you're coming like I think it is Inanna that is going into the underworld, right? And then at the darkest point, which is at the midpoint of the transit, you have a conversion experience. Something is happening and you're coming back out of that darkness, out of the underworld. And as you're coming back out, you're able to make sense of everything that has happened before. And slowly but surely, with more clarity, you're then able to, again, take responsibility, be mindful, and understand that the projections sometimes are creating our reality. Meaning, if I project on a person a certain archetype that I don't see within myself, that is just unconscious, completely unconscious, but it's there because my hologenetic profile, the gene keys, there's a lot more that I'm going to be talking about also with the gene keys and the how they play into all of that as well. But if I don't see that archetype within me, then I will project it into the outside reality, and then it will be reflected to me as this person is evil, this person is dark, this person is good, and I'm just not going to understand that it's me, that it's us, right? It's only always us and God. And that's another teaching sort of that's coming in, but it's very helpful to see it that way. And it is in I'm forgetting it. So if I'm forgetting the term right now, then I'm not supposed to name it. But basically, it's the universal entity, right? It's me and the universal entity. But really, the universal entity is God, because everything is God. And so if I can approach every day as it's me, and anything else that's happening is happening because it's supposed to happen. And the only thing that I can do to have more unity in my life and in the expression of my life is through creating that unity within, i.e., seeing the archetype, seeing the inner Lilith, seeing the inner serpent, seeing even the inner devil. I had dreams with the devil. It was nuts. So when we can do that, when we can really go take responsibility for all of that, it helps us so much to look at Lilith, the Lilith placement, where she is right now. What is going to happen, you know? And that's where the Sabian symbols are really important, because they can give us a glimpse into what's going on, what's potentially happening when she's going through these different Sabian symbols, these different degrees of the zodiac. For example, when she moved out of Cancer, finally, moving into Leo, Leo 01 is a case of apoplexia. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I haven't heard it yet. But basically having a mental or emotional breakdown. And at that time, a few people in my life who have her in Leo or have the other 3 Liliths that are also actually there. There's actually 4 Lilith placements all in all. So you see, it's very layered. It's not just the one dark moon Lilith, but it's really way more than that, and it corresponds to the different ages of falling deeper into density, from what I have been told through these channelings and everything. And so when we can see in advance, okay, Lilith, I have Lilith in Leo, for example. I don't, but like let's say you have Lilith in Leo and you see, oh, she's going to go into that sign, that degree in a week from now, then instead of having the mental breakdown, instead of having the emotional complete, like, I guess apoplexia is the word, you can be prepared and you can be mindful and you can take your power back and you can be like, okay, I'm not controlled by these archetypal forces. I'm going to take my power back and I'm going to say that I won't have a mental breakdown because I will realize that it's not even me. It's an influence. It's an astrological influence. And I think the goal here is to become fully individuated beings, is to take our power back from astrological influences. And maybe I had to go through all of this in such an extreme way to just come to that conclusion that we need to just be careful with these influences because they can really bring us to the edge of existence if we're not careful. And we usually don't know about these transits, and certainly Lilith is not so much talked about. It's sort of taboo as well. And the more we repress it and don't see it in ourselves, but only keep seeing it in others, the more it's going to bite us in the behind. And so this is really why I feel like I wanted to make this video now, and there's just going to be so much more information because so much has been channeled over the last few months about this theme. And I just want to share this. I want to make sure that you can look at your chart, you can look at your Lilith placements, and you can make sense of the Sabian symbols that she's going through, because they have such an impact, potentially such an impact on our lives, and especially on our shadow work, right? And this is all about shadow work. This is all about consciously going into the darkness and retrieving the light sparks and correcting, past lifetimes, because we choose our astrology, of course, also according to those past lifetimes as well, to correct certain things. But that's going too deep right now. I hope this was helpful. I really felt guided to do this now, and there will be more. Please let me know your thoughts if this is helpful. And if you want to get in touch, I'm always there as well. If you want to look at your chart, look at the gene keys, need some help maybe with the gene keys or the Sabian symbols or all of these placements, and just see, what needs to be done, what are the themes in my life where I'm not seeing the full picture. And I will also post down here Laura Walker's free PDF on the Black Moon. And she's giving a brief overview of Lilith in all of the different signs with the oppositions and certain other aspects, going through the houses as well and what it means. And she's also in that book talking about this descent in the underworld and coming back out of it. So you're going to have a lot of information in that book. And yeah, get in touch. I would love to work with you, and also see, how we can heal the collective unconscious from this forgetting that we are everything, forgetting that we are all one, and having fallen into the separation consciousness. So now we're on our way back, and we need to grab all the different pieces and retrieve all the light sparks to get back to who we really are. So please comment. Thank you. I love you. Bye.